No one can stop God's plan. God is the one who speaks and fulfills what he has spoken. God gave Abraham 3 promises. First, that a great nation would come through him. Second, that this nation would inherit the land of Canaan. And third, that in that land, a king would arise, and from that royal line, the Messiah would come. Through this Messiah, all nations of the earth would be blessed. This promise was passed down to Isaac, and then in Genesis 28, it was given to Jacob as he fled from Esau. Jacob spent 20 years at his uncle's house, consumed by working, getting married, and raising children. But God, who fulfills his promises, wanted Jacob to return to the land of Canaan where the promise flows. So God made Jacob prosperous, but also allowed envy to rise in his uncle and cousins, ultimately pushing Jacob to flee at night. Since he had to return, God protected him from Laban, who pursued him all night, and also from Esau, who came with 400 men intending to destroy him. However, when Jacob settled in Shechem, he once again became complacent, buying land, building a house, and making money. At that point, in Genesis 34, God temporarily lifted his protection, and Jacob's daughter Dinah was violated. After this, Simeon and Levi massacred the men of Shechem, and Jacob was forced to return to Bethel, where he had previously made a vow. There, God reaffirmed his promise, and Jacob settled in Hebron with Isaac. Isaac died at 180 years old and was buried. Now, it was time for the next stage of God's promise to lead his people into Egypt. Genesis chapter 37 begins with God's plan to send Joseph ahead to Egypt. God first gave Joseph 2 dreams. These 2 dreams symbolize certainty and urgency. To bring Joseph into Egypt, God allowed his brothers to become jealous of him. When Jacob heard that his sons were tending sheep in Shechem, a place of past trauma, he became worried and eventually sent Joseph, whom he dearly loved, to check on them. Joseph found his brothers, not in Shechem, but in Dothan. There, they plotted to kill him, but instead, threw him into a pit. Ultimately, Judah's idea prevailed, and Joseph was sold to Midianite traders. While everything seems like a chain of coincidences, it was actually the unfolding of God's plan to bring his people into Egypt. And nothing could stop this divine plan. Our lives are the same. Our sins, mistakes, immaturity, jealousy, conflicts, our own plans, and even the plans of others, all these things seem tangled and unpredictable, but everything is still under God's perfect sovereignty. In the end, God's will is fulfilled. So, in moments of confusion or pain, the best response we can offer is gratitude. In fact, Joseph had no complaints during his season of testing. As noted in Psalm chapter 105. Why? Because of the dreams he had received. When a person holds on to God's promise, God's dream, like Joseph, they can give thanks even in the midst of trials and situations they cannot understand.